Spoilers for Titan Souls. Hello, welcome to the video. When we think of a video game where you are hunting or fighting giant bosses, a bunch of games may start flowing through your mind, whether that's Monster Hunter, God Eater, Dauntless, we don't speak about Dauntless, the Souls series, and Shadow of the Colossus. While each and every one of these games is unique from one another, they do deserve their own video in their own right. I'm here to talk about one very specific game that falls under this category that takes the boss fighting framework and adds a simple yet very powerful twist. And that game is called Titan Souls. For those of you who clicked on this video, well, first of all, thank you. There is a good chance you already know what Titan Souls is. But for those of you who do not know, Titan Souls is a top-down single-player game developed by Aston Nerve and published by Devolver, where you play as this guy, hunting down giant bosses called Titans with one arrow. This title has a lot of remnants of Shadow of the Colossus in its blood, due to you fighting the boss and then taking its soul juice stuff with you going Super Saiyan near the end. But what makes this game stand out is the fact that you go down in one hit. But so do the bosses. At least most of them. We're going to go through the different aspects of this game, from the world to the gameplay, and then finish off with the bosses. This is why I think Titan Souls is a masterpiece. The world of Titan Souls is a very simple one due to its lack of things to interact with. While this could be considered a detriment, I do think this lack of interaction works to the game's advantage due to what it's going for. The world is simple, yes, but so is the rest of the game. It's vast and empty, giving you time to think and be able to have a break between one area and another. Fighting these high-intensity titans, it provides a nice contrast between the fights and the exploration of the world, where you are eased into the calming environment, knowing that even out in the open, there's nothing that's going to attack you. It's easy to identify when you are going to be entering a boss fight due to the seals that you will find on the ground. To find these seals, you have to explore, and once you run into one, you know there are titans nearby. These seals act as respawn points, so when you do inevitably die, you'll respawn close by. Oh my god, I didn't mean for that to rhyme, holy shit. The walk back is very little, which makes each boss fight less infuriating. Certain areas may have carvings along the walls, which gives you a sense of some of the fights that you may come across, like how in the lava caverns you see a skull with two balls on the wall. That very area will have that monster. Or even in the Forays, it gives a brief history of Vine Thesis, one of the bosses in that area. Sadly, these carvings are very far between, but they do give some insight on a few of the encounters. The world is simple, yes, but brilliantly executed. There isn't much to say on the gameplay front of the game. You have movement, a run/dodge button, and then firing/calling your arrow. That's it. And it's awesome. The simple gameplay is satisfying, and it makes returning to the game easier, knowing that there's only 3 things that you need to worry about. There's no grind, no build, just you and your tenacity. One of my best friends played Titan Souls for the first time on my birthday, and we did a playthrough of it. She had no idea what this game was, only the brief explanation of the game's premise that I gave to her. And because of these controls, she got the hang of it pretty dang quick. Her favorite Titan in the game is Mulcaen, which is a fight that I personally struggle with a lot. The point I'm trying to get across is that there is beauty in the easy to pick up controls. It makes coming back to the game easy, and getting into it for the first time also easy. However, the combat would have very little weight if there wasn't anything to fight, and Titan Souls has some wonderful fights in its roster. The Titans are the only enemies in this game. For the encounters that go down in a few hits, they feel like they have just the right amount of depth. Knowing that these fights are only one or a few hits away from death makes retrying less irritating, because you are constantly on the brink of victory due to the game's design. Every Titan has a weak spot, highlighted in pink. which can help you figure out their mechanics. It could be anything from hiding underneath their shell or a well-timed shot with good positioning. Most of them are really well designed, but some of them are absolute shitters. One of my personal favorites is Onyxia, found in the snowy region. However, their entrance to the arena is frozen off and you can't get around it. There are little fires around, and earlier in the game, you learn that you can catch your arrow on fire and you can melt ice. So, if you shoot through the fire to another fire pit, it will light. And you repeat this process until you have a shot at hitting the ice wall. And when it melts, you can finally enter. And the first time I played against this guy, I couldn't see him until I noticed beneath the surface of the water.
Oh god, where is he? Oh, you're fucking oh, I got chills. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. That's a snake.
The fight itself is very well designed, using the calling of the arrow as a means of positioning to take the perfect shot. It is very satisfying to pull off. Definitely one of my favorite fights in the whole game. My least favorite is the Shroom, or Obello is his actual name. He jumps around and he rotates and you have to hit him in his weak spot, and he's also just shooting projectiles, and it doesn't sound that bad, but for you guys he's honestly not that bad, but for me he's just the worst. However, my absolute least favorite thing about the bosses in this game is the size of the roster. If you include all of the fights, including the secret ones, excluding the lore titan, there is only 20 fights total. Now, that doesn't sound very small, but when you take into consideration that most of the fights go down in a few hits, the roster feels quite small. Overall, the roster is good, with a few stinkers here and there, but I just wish there was more bosses to fight. In conclusion, I think it goes without saying, but I love this game. It's one of my personal favorites of all time, and yes, it does have many flaws, but the overall experience is fun, concise, and simple. There is some replayability in this game, such as Iron Man mode, in which you have to beat the entire game with only one life. You have no dodge or run mode, where you can't dodge or run, pretty self-explanatory. And then you have hard mode, which really puts you to the test. If anything I've said has even remotely interested you, please, for the love of God, support the developers by purchasing this game. It was recently on sale for $1.50, which is pretty damn good for what you are getting. I highly doubt they will ever make a sequel or even a successor, which puts me on high amounts of copium, but at the very least, we have this wonderful game called Titan Souls, and that is why I think it is a masterpiece. Thank you for watching.